Well, here it is. After 45 years, the 1970 and 71 Rapid Transit System Caravan Cuda. It was sitting in a garage since 1976. And it only has 967 miles on it. You can see it is untouched. The paint's original. It hasn't been washed since 1976. Show you, if you can see all the my shadows on it, but you can see cat paws from the previous owner's cat that decided to have some fun on it. And I'll show you in a minute when I pop the hood, the giant cat poop on the cowl. I thought I'd walk around real quick. We do have the missing Krager that was on the front. It did not hold air at all. So this is actually the original spare to the car. I mean, like I said, this car was bought and then never used. It was put away. From what we're guessing, it was from the previous owner, who still owns it right now. Or I should say, the owner who has it right now bought it in 1976 from a gentleman in downtown Detroit. We're not quite sure who. We're still working that out. But he bought it and then put it away. They did check. The lights still work on it. Whoop. See the little grating? You can even see the cat prints here on the back window. This is the paint as was applied in 1971, because before, I'll show you in a second, it was green. Had like green scallops and such. Done by Chuck Miller. But these are the original rims and original tires that were on it, because we looked at some vintage pictures. That's still the original front. You'll see in a second it's all cracked. But here you can see the car's not perfect. See all the cat marks on the hood. See, the original front tires are in very bad shape, but at least the one is still holding air. See a few of the cobwebs. Oh, that's interesting. No, that's the original sticker to the tire. See, the paint's also checkering in places. Oh, but here you can see some of the original green underneath the orange in spots. But how cool is that? Okay, I'll show you the interior real quick, but look at the side mirror. But you notice how there's no door handles. There's just these little push levers. Hold on. All right, my friend, see, we have the documentation of at least one oil change. And then the interior, I'm not even kidding, it smells like a brand new car. Well, musty, but like the leather, and it's well optioned. It's a Cuda, obviously a 6-pack Cuda, but leather seats, automatic on the floor. It's got 967 miles. AM, FM. Check out the original gauges. The original radio. And we did talk to Chuck Miller, which I'll put in this video. But it says those gauges are original to the car. But there's not even there's a little hole in the dash, not sure why. But even like the headliner is in good shape. Back seat probably has never even been sat in. Oop. But then you can see something has brought some little bits and pieces in it. But geez, just a legitimate time capsule. Okay, so I popped the hood. Show you everything that I've learned so far on the car. It is a real 6-pack 70 Cuda. The VIN number is actually VIN number 5. I'll show you here on the fender tag and the VIN tag eventually. But this engine is untouched. Literally, the stamping on the block is correct for the car. It's actually the actual stamping for this VIN number. And you can see this little box here. This was a little electric motor that would shake the shaker at car shows. And unfortunately it doesn't work, but it's still all there. Untouched. It's not even disconnected. There's no battery. When they checked it didn't work. 22-inch radiator. Three-speed wiper. Power drum brakes, ironically enough. Power steering. And then here, let's see if we can do this. There we go. And I will show an actual picture of the fender tag near the end of the video. This thing, other than they did find a oil change sticker for the car. So they know the oil's been changed at least once. Well, also, the car is originally a red car. Like, the whole thing was red. You can see the red peeling coming from underneath on the hood and in the engine compartment. But there's no rust, really. There's a little bit, but nothing like structural or deep. Just thought I'd go through and show you the trunk. They even painted that black. We can see in a few spots the red's starting to come through. But guess what we found? The original wheelie bars that came with the car. And the original front left wheel that was supposed to be on the car. But like I said, the tire, I guess, was bad. So, yeah, the customization of the trunk, the custom tail lights. Pretty cool. And of course, that's all. There's nothing really there. Oh, you can see actually the paint is cracking pretty well on the tail panel. And then let's see in here. Nothing really in here other than some car parts. Yep, and I know I'm not going to move the stuff, but the trunk floor is perfectly solid. See everything in here is really nice shape. My name's Ryan Brutt, and I'm the AutoArchaeologist. I'm here with Chuck Miller. He's the original creator of the Rapid Transit System Cuda. He built it in 1970 for the Rapid Transit Tour, which toured America promoting Plymouth products. And Chuck, nice to speak with you today. How did you get involved with the RTS Cuda?
Well, that naturally started in 1970, when Chrysler wanted to do a road show, if you will, dealerships and different events like that. And they came to me with some drawings by Harry Bradley. Harry Bradley designed all of the RTS cars. And they had this in mind of what to do to them. So they came to me with this brand new Barracuda. And with the drawings, and says, this is what we want to build. And that's where it started from there.
But you work on the car that this was based off of, the Sonic Cuda, and that was originally the inspiration for this car, correct?
Correct. So we'll back up a little bit now. So in 70 as well, they wanted to, International Championship Auto Show, ISCA. Back then, they would give away a car at the end of the show season. So you enter your car in different shows all over the country, and you'd get points for best this, best that, what have you. Well, at the end of the year, the person got a new car that they built for them. And that was the Sonic Cuda. So the Sonic Cuda is close to this one. But at the end of the year, the Sonic Cuda was given away to the person with the most points. And that was Jerry Pennington, a local guy here, did great work. And he won the Sonic Cuda with his cars. He won the Riddler Award twice. So anyways, but he won the car. And then they just drove it as just a shop car, you know, running around to whatever events and things like that. It was just a car, no big deal. And then eventually he sold the car, got rid of it, and it went wherever. I think the treatment got the car. But anyway, so now we'll fast forward to where they wanted to, the RTS came along. And they had Harry Bradley design all of the cars. So he designed this one, the first Roadrunner, and the Duster, and what have you. So anyways, they came to me with these drawings of the Cuda. And it's similar to the Sonic. The mouth, this area here, the nose, that's the same as the Sonic, but the difference is the Sonic has one spoiler at the bottom with no parking lights. The RTS has the two split spoilers with parking lights underneath. But one of the big things is everybody thinks naturally, oh, no, it's the same car. It's the same car. Well, no, it's two completely different cars. And they would say, oh, that's a fiberglass front end and fiberglass this. It's all steel. There was no fiberglass in it. There's your fillers naturally over some of the welds and things like that. But no, it's all steel. And they are two completely different cars. And there's other changes as well. The Sonic had a blower on it, and a spoiler on the back was different, and tail lights. But basically, the nose was the big deal for both cars that really made it cool, if you want to say. And so that's where this one came about as a roadshow car. And what they would do, they would take these all over the country to dealerships. And they had cutaway engines to all of these cars, all on display with some straight stock cars, you know, in the display, regular Plymouths and whatever, Chrysler products. And then that was in 70. Well, in 71 comes around, it's still the same Cuda style car, but they came up with new Roadrunner. The first runner was, I say, it's kind of a boxy square one, to where the 71 was a little more rounded and smoother. Excuse me. So they wanted to do a Roadrunner as well for the Rapid Transit System. So anyways, Harry Bradley, he designed that as well, and I built that one. And that's a really a neat car too. But say back to this one now. Well, that was in 70. The first version was white pearl, silver, lime, and charcoal.
Wow.
That's the colors that Harry wanted on it back then. And it was neat too. But now 71 comes around, well, we can't show that same car again, that color and all that, let's repaint it. So when they brought it back to me to repaint, back then it's all lacquer paint, acrylic lacquer. You know, we didn't have urethanes back then. So they brought this back to me to paint it. But in the meantime, I was working on the Roadrunner, the new Roadrunner. So hurry up, we got to go. So we didn't have time to strip the paint off the car and do all the body work and all that stuff. So we got it down as much as we could and just repainted this lacquer over that lacquer. So right now, the car has 2 paint jobs on it of lacquer. There's some checking in the paint and all that, from which is understandable. But it's this is the new paint job that they wanted, style-wise, that they wanted to put on the car. Then the Roadrunner, that the 71 Runner, we called it the chicken head car because the side markers were small Roadrunner, the head of the Roadrunner, and they always called it the chicken head car. So anyways, then that was it. So they all went on tour, the Duster, the Roadrunner, the Cuda, and a funny car, Prudhomme's funny car.
And you were using this for fun. Like, you took this to like lunch and such in the paint jobs you had.
Yeah. Well, now go back. We're talking 71. Yeah, I had the car in maybe for a touch up or whatever it was when it was lime and white and charcoal silver. It was just there, and it was lunchtime. So, well, this diner about, just a couple miles down West Jefferson. My shop was in River Rouge, Michigan. So right down West Jefferson was the restaurant. So I'll run down and pick up lunch. So I just jumped in the Cuda. No big deal. Just right down Jefferson, go down, pull in, no license plates, nothing on it, and pick up the lunch, come back for the guys. Just then it was, well, growing up back then, it was fun. It was just a fun time. And it was just no big deal, just a Barracuda.
I mean, and what you're saying in 70, 71, this was a brand new platform. The Cuda and Challengers had just come out. So I could only imagine the look on people's faces as you drove this crazy custom down Jefferson Avenue, a car that they had just barely released to the public. And here's this one that is like nothing else on the road, driving past them and going to the restaurant. Like I said, and what was the name of your shop again?
Styline Custom.
Okay.
Styline Custom in River Rouge.
I actually called it accidentally Skyline Custom by accident.
Yeah.
To,
a lot of people make that mistake, but it's Sty, S-T-Y-L-I-N-E.
Yeah, I got corrected by David Freiberger on that one.
Okay.
But so after you had finished doing the second paint job on the car, did you have any involvement in it, like after it got done, or was that it for your involvement with any of the RTS stuff?
No, well, when you're doing road shows like that, they're off and on trucks, off and on, off and on. I mean, at how many cities, they'd maybe get a scratch or whatever in it, then they'd bring it back and we'd have to spot it in, touch it up, or whatever it would have to be for repairs. Yeah.
So when was the last time you saw the car then, you think? 72, something like that.
I would say, well, it was in 71. I think I probably saw it 72, something like that. I saw it in 72, and now here it is.
Yeah, I mean,
50 years.
We've been doing a lot of research on the car, and there's a handful of pictures of it from a local parking lot, from a mall, and then that's it. Then it disappeared up until recently, and you've actually were involved when it came into the line, when it came out of the garage. But you actually even knew about it a little bit before that, you said.
Yeah, I don't know exactly who called me, excuse me, and said, oh, the RTS Cuda, you know anything about it? Yeah, I built it. Well, I know where it's at. Really? And he says it belongs to this gentleman, and it's here in Detroit. Okay, and here's his phone number if you'd like to have it. I said, sure. But I had heard earlier that about him, but he did not want to sell the car. Now, Steve Giuliano, California, he had the other RTS cars, but this one he wasn't able to get. The gentleman just would not let loose of it. And he just, no, that was it. So I figured, well, there's no sense of me calling him. He don't want to sell it. So I'm just wasting time. And I figured, I guess things you just put off, you think, well, it'll be there later, and you procrastinate on it. But, it would have been nice if I would have contacted him and been able to work out something other to buy the car. But
Yeah.
since then,
Excuse me.
Giuliano, he passed, and this was the only one that he couldn't get for
Yeah.
his collection. And that would have been just the icing, as he always said. If I could have that one, he would have had the whole collection. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we all wish Giuliano had been able to, find the final piece.
yes.
So, sir, you've built quite a few of these custom cars. And I know we had one of them at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals a few years ago that you built, and it was a complete surprise when it popped back up, but it was the prototype Hearst Olds, correct?
Yep. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, what happened with that one?
Hearst, Hearst Performance, they came to me with some drawings. Gene Baker, he designed the car, a gentleman here in Detroit area. And they wanted the new version of the Hearst Olds. So we had drawings, and what a brand new Cutlass, 442. And here's the drawing, so make it look like this. So we put the hood scoop that's on it now on the Hearst Olds. I did that. And on the rear, where your the vents are on the back of the hood, the flush mounted with a little grill in it, I made little spoilers to bolt right in there that Olds could do on the line. But the big deal was the back, the spoilers that I put on it from the drawings. We always called it the elephant tusk Hearst Olds. They were spoilers that came down the side of the quarter panels like an elephant tusk. Well, Hearst picked up the car to go to Olds to get their blessings on it and all that. Oh, and also I put a gold stripe, probably 18 inches wide, 2 feet down the back, over the roof, through the window, and onto the deck lid. Well, when Hearst took it to Olds, they liked the car and all, but says, now we can't do the elephant tusk. It's too much in production and warehousing and parts and all of this. And we can't do the hood scoop, the vents, can't do that. And we can't do the gold stripe through the back window. Okay, now today, you could probably get away with so many vinyls they have, they could go right through the window, but it looked cool at the time. So they axed it. So they brought the car back, and no, we can't do that. We have to change it and put another spoiler on the back. So what we ended up with is with the spoiler that's on it, that spoiler, the wing across the back. We took the scoops off of the hood, just put the grills back in. And the window that was dyed, well, it was actually a gold toner that I sprayed on the inside. So when it came back, all we had to do was go inside and scrape the vinyl or the toner off. And it was back to it, took it back to Olds. They bought it. Now, that's what you have as the 69 Hearst Olds that I did. Then it was as well, too, the Rambler Scrambler. I did that one for Hearst as well. Same thing, Gene Baker, drawings, here we go. That they wanted the red, white, and blue. So I painted it the red, white, and blue. I made the hood scoop. We called it the mailbox because just the way it stuck up. So I made that scoop. And we put a blue stripe right through the back window as well. And took the stock Rambler taillights and Frenched them, cut them out and made buckets for it to where they were kind of a French taillight, recessed. They took it to American Motors, and they liked everything, but same thing. We can't do these taillights in production. And we don't like the stripe in the window. You could never get that by the government and what have you. So same thing. Took the stripe off. They went with the hood scoop. So it was a go. So That's another one that I did the prototype on, the Rambler
So
Scrambler.
what happened with the Hearst Olds? Because it popped up not as your prototype, but it just popped up a few years ago, and you were asked about it, correct?
Yes, gentleman, oh boy, I think he was from Indiana. He bought the car. However, he got a hold of the car and it was just a Hearst Olds. For some reason, he just thought it was something special of a Hearst Olds. And, excuse me, and he was afraid to drive it. He said, I don't want to hurt it and all that, so I think I'll just sell it. So he contacted me and he says, I think I have this car that's maybe a little special of a Hearst Olds. And he told me about it, what it was, and wanted to know some history on it. Well, back then, it was just, when I finished it the second time, it was just a white and gold striped Hearst Olds. No big deal. And a good friend of mine worked at Hearst at the time, Don Morton. That was his company car. So he drove it. So he drove the car and beat it to death and had fun with it. It was just a company car. Then he sold it, or Hearst sold it, then somebody bought it, then somebody bought it, and it was passed down to where this gentleman ended up with it. So anyways, he decided he wanted to sell it at the auction and went to Indy. And I don't know if it was a Mecum or one of them, but it went there, and he asked Don and I if we would come down to Indy, look at the car, and say, yeah, it's the real deal. It's the real Hearst Olds. So just looking at it outside, walk around, you wouldn't know the difference. So I asked him, he was there, and I says, open the trunk if you would, please. He opened the trunk, and I felt inside of the quarter panel, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up. I could feel the welds where I welded up the holes. So he just grinned and shook his head like good. And then I said, oh, here's another thing I'll look for. And when we painted the stripe or the toner on the rear window, it was on the inside. We just got in and scraped it. Excuse me. So I looked down near the bottom of the window molding, and you could see, 1/16 of an inch of gold still down there. So it's the car. That gold wouldn't have been there if it wasn't the real deal. So anyways, that's the deal with that one. And they auctioned it off, and then they restored it to the elephant tusk version. They made new elephant tusks for it. They put scoops on the hood, no stripe in the window, but they have it on display at different shows that they go to.
Okay.
And they even took the rear window and they had it on display as well, showing the gold paint still, the toner on it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's incredible.
It was a fun time back then. It was great.
I can only imagine to have your hands in so many historically significant cars to the muscle car world. I mean, it's just incredible, sir. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about the Cuda and the Scrambler and the Hearst, because, I mean, it's people like you that we need to get that information from to keep it. I mean, you to have it on film, to have it in print, because, I mean, we're not getting any younger.
No, that's the bad part. We're not. But anything like the Cuda here we're talking about, it's only original once. So you're finding things like this, you hate to change them. Don't change it. As much as you might say, oh, I don't care for that color, I'm going to paint it this way or that. Well, history's gone, because nobody would know it. You paint this car just black, oh, it maybe look good. It's not the RTS Cuda then. It has to be like this. It's only original once.
Absolutely. And that's why I love finding the stuff I do, because it's unique to itself all in the world.
Oh, sure.
And that what makes it, that brings it to a whole new level, to say the least.
It sure does. Yeah.
It must have been exciting to actually see the car for the first time in 50 years, basically untouched from the last time you saw it.
Yeah, really. I guess you're just dumbfounded after, 50 years to finally see it for the first time, and I was surprised. It was really in good shape. But when I went into the garage, the gentleman's house where the car was at, I stopped by looking at the driver's side, and I said, I noticed a rub mark on the top of the fender right here. And I said to one of the gentlemen that was there, I says, is there a rub mark on the other fender as well? And he went and he looked. Yeah, there's a rub mark. I says, yeah, it figures, because the Roadrunner that I did, the orange pearl one, RTS Runner, it had 2 marks on the top of both quarter panels. So whoever they had transporting them to and from car shows or wherever, they just put a strap right across the body, and it just worked on the paint instead of hooking it underneath like you do when you transport a car, but right across the paint. So that was interesting to see. So that same guy transported both of them.
That's incredible that you had that kind of knowledge about the car.
Yep.
And now here it's currently sitting at your property until it moves on to the next owner, and whoever it might be. We hope that he or she honors what the car is and keeps it as original as possible.
Correct. Right now I'm just the caretaker right now. That's my baby.
Yeah, and I hope that your baby stays, like I said, other than maybe some new tires, because these might kill us.
Yeah.
Other than some new tires, maybe some other rims, I hope that they keep it just as it is.
Yeah, just the way it looks right now. Yeah, it's history. It's history.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, sir, taking the time to talk with me and talk to the viewers about
pleasure.
About the history of the car, because I mean, it's incredible to have this opportunity to talk to the gentleman who put the car from paper to reality. It doesn't happen very often. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
I thought real quick we'd go through the history of the car as we have it today. Me and a few friends have been researching it. I've actually been able to get into archives from 2 different companies and got some of the promotional material from this, and it was very interesting. So the car, when they moved forward with the RTS Cuda, it was really quick. What had happened was this was a press car that was out of the Los Angeles area. It was actually a Los Angeles built car, and it was shipped over to Skyline Customs, and Chuck Miller quickly turned it around for the Rapid Transit System Tour. So 70 went no problem. It was green, came back. 70, he redid it into the 71 color. It went and toured, and like Chuck said in the video, he didn't have much to do with it. He saw it in like 72, and then that was it. So in 1972 through 1976, we don't have a lot of information. It disappears. There's a little bit of evidence that kind of is hearsay that the car may have been involved with the RTS Duster, and that was involved in some police action. We're not exactly sure, but the RTS Duster was found abandoned in a parking garage in Detroit, and that story has been told. You can read about it in Mopar Muscle, Mopar Collector's Guide, where Steve Giuliano was able to buy the car and put it back on the road. So the next actual point of history we have on it is there's a single picture of the car in a parking lot sometime around 1972, 73. And the next thing we know, Tony finds the car sitting at a shop in downtown Detroit on Woodward Avenue. He buys the car, he turns around, drives it for a short time, he gets scared by the attention the car has, and puts it away, intending to put it back on the road soon, but he never gets to it. Fast forward to 2022, the car is exhumed from its tomb at Tony's house. Some stuff goes on, it gets put into storage while things are straightened out, and I'm not sure what's going to happen here in the near future, but I know it has moved on. I'm sure the rest of this story will come out. I'm just not involved in it at this point. One of the weird things that I was involved in is when I was documenting the car, the fender tag has the VIN number that is BS23V9E10005. And the V90 usually means it's a six-pack 1969 car built in Los Angeles, while the VIN tag that's on the dash is actually BS23VOE10005, which is correct for a 1970 Cuda. Why that happened, nobody knows. So after shooting all the pictures, the video, talking with everyone for a few hours, we had completely forgotten about the original signage. So we pulled it out real quick, grabbed a few pictures just to make sure we got that covered. It was so cool that the car had the original sign that it traveled with all those years ago, and it wasn't perfect, but it was in really great shape. And it just really made the whole thing just the cherry on top of the day.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video of the RTS Cuda. This has been a long, just over a year. I've learned a lot in that time frame, to say the least. And I'm not quite sure what is going on, but I'm sure when the time that I post this happens, more will be known about what happens with the car. I hope for the best, and that's really all I can say about it, unfortunately. But I can say that I hope those that have cool cars like my 71 and my 09 and all that, I hope, and this isn't about the RTS Cuda, but it's just in general because it's all legalese stuff, but if you have a cool car, make sure you have in writing what you want to happen to your cars. I'm dealing with another car that the father was a gearhead friend of mine, and he fell and passed away, just out of the blue. And he had no will. And now the family, for over 2 years, has been dealing with his estate because his wife is dead and all kinds of stuff. And they're dragging his daughters through the mud. And that's the one I can talk about. So if you have something cool, please do everyone a favor and have a will or some sort of, plan for what's going to happen to your cars, because I know everyone who's involved in a bunch of stuff, and going through courts and lawyers and all that it's a real pain. But good things are ahead, to say the least. I've been working on the green car steadily now for the last few days, and I'm actually going to do an entire video on my 71 probably next. I've been shooting small video segments, so I'll put it all together in a nice little video, and maybe the video will end with it driving away. I don't know. I mean, it runs and drives now technically, but we'll see. I hope everyone stays safe, stays healthy, and don't forget, a new video drops every Monday. Usually, I think this one will probably be dropping at a random time because it's out of my control. But stay safe, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.